This video popped up on my homepage and it's called How One Item Fractured Elden Ring's Fan Base.
I just had a horrible dream. A dream where people bought a DLC to a difficult game made by a company that famously
I didn't know it was about the DLC. Okay, here we go.
makes their DLCs extra difficult and then ignored a new system that makes it less difficult and got upset that the game was too difficult. Thank God it was just a dream though. I'm still the Elden Lord and this chair still has no back support.
You know what? That is a great point. That Elden Lord throne looks really uncomfortable. You definitely would get back problems from sitting in it for a prolonged period of time.
When I play FromSoft games, I completely close my eyes and ears to every single piece of information possible. I didn't even watch the trailers or look at sneak.
That's the true way to do it. You have to do it that way, I fear. Because if you do it any other way, I feel like you run the risk of getting poisoned. If you knew anything about Dark Souls 2, I feel like there's no way that new players would ever play Dark Souls 2 because Dark Souls 2's press is so bad. Dark Souls 2 might have the worst PR of any video game possible. And it's crazy that Elden Ring is just Dark Souls 2 too, but like the dichotomy between the glaze that Elden Ring gets for just existing versus the vitriol that Dark Souls 2 gets for existing, when at the end of the day, Elden Ring would not exist without Dark Souls 2.
Everything, down to the last freak, I wanted to discover and see on my own during my first playthrough. I care about how lighting cracks through a cave ceiling just as much as I care about a mainline boss fight. Every inch and second of Elden Ring is special to me, and I expected the DLC to sweep me off my feet like the base game did. And oh Christ, I think this is some of FromSoft's best work ever.
Agree! And I'm tired of not saying it. I think Shadow of the Erdtree, oh my god. I think Shadow of the Erdtree, the pacing of that game is without a doubt some of FromSoft's best work. I feel like the degree of exploration you get to the boss fight, not only design, but frequency and quality, it's peak. It's peak. What else could you want? I think for sure Dark Souls 2 has a really, really strong story. And honestly, I was thinking about this because I'm writing a video that's kind of analyzing the past year of playing all the games in a year. I think Dark Souls 2 has some of the craziest characters and character arcs. Because what do you mean you find Vengarl's body and then you can stumble upon his head, which has now become a philosopher because he's a warrior that can no longer do warrior things? Like, that is compelling as shit. Vengarl's headless body is basically Promised Consort Radahn. Hold on. Let me pull up a picture of Vengarl. Okay, why is there immediately a picture of him throwing it back? Okay, Dark Souls 2 community. He's got like the Radahn red going on. I'm not gonna show you. Okay, fine. There it is, Vengarl throwing it back. Why? Why was that the first option? Dark Souls 2 community, I'm gonna need y'all to do less. Do a little less. Okay, wait, this stance, yeah, this is the double swords. And if you think about it, it goes even further in the Promised Consort Radahn direction when you think about how Vengarl is headless, which parallels to how Radahn's agency is stripped, and he essentially doesn't have the thoughts or control over what he's doing because Miquella is maybe brainwashing him, but he definitely brought him back to life. Okay, let's find out what the most controversial item of all time was. I accidentally played the Stardew Valley soundtrack.
Oh, you can imagine my shock when I emerged from my grotesque gamer juice-laden flesh cocoon to see
this DLC is too hard! This is the easiest thing ever created!
What the fuck is a Skadoo fragment? What? How did this happen? Aren't we the get good guys? Aren't we the ones that played Demon Souls? You know, the game that had a feature where it removed half of your fucking health bar if you made the mistake of dying to a hidden corner shadow medieval crack addict? Okay, easy does it, huh?
The more I learn about Demon Souls, the more I'm like, you know what?
Oh, cool! Great! Nice, yes, awesome, yes! And Sekiro didn't even really have builds. Your only option was to learn every single attack pattern.
Foolish samurai, this action game.
Well, but the beads. You had prayer beads. There's a limit to how many beads you can get at any given point.
It's actually a concealed rhythm game.
So what happened? What changed? Well, you see, you could honestly blame the entire discourse on this one single dookie-looking pine cone, a Skadoo fragment, or as Miyazaki
fragment
would like to gaslight you into calling a Scadutree fragment. All right, sure, dude. All right, whatever you say. Now, get back in your Gyal cell. These little things are how you level up your character in the land of shadow, and some folks are pissed. But surely it can't be that straightforward, can it? This little spiky thing couldn't have obliterated 15 years of white-knuckled hardcore classics that everyone adored for their sheer difficulty. Well, just like how America shattered the Elden Ring, I believe the argument has been fragmented into multiple pieces. So let's take some putrid online gamer debates and shatter them into some consumable chunks in what I believe to be the source of the problem. Because
okay, so people are mad, or I guess were mad about Scadutree fragments. I don't know. I never had an issue. Are they okay? Here's my guess. My guess is that people didn't explore enough, so they couldn't find them, and then they got mad when everything was super hard. Alternatively, they explored too much, found too many, and then everything was too easy. It's not fun having to collect them every run. Okay, I can see that argument. Your Scadu level carries over in New Game Plus. It's the same problem with the base game Elden Ring, where it's impossible to make sure you're scaled appropriately for every encounter. Yeah, that's fair. Because when I first played, I second tried Radon in the base game because I had already fought Rykard? But then in our seamless co-op, Radon was about hard as fuck because we hadn't done anything yet. So it's kind of, you kind of have trade-offs. If you're underleveled for one boss, then you'll eventually be overleveled for another. 80% of the Souls community views them as boss rush games where everything except fighting the boss is just filler content that they skip over. I can see that. I mean, honestly, sometimes I feel myself getting into that a little bit, where I can feel my like cranky latent gamer brain being like, where's the boss? So where's the boss? So I'm ready for a boss now. Where's the boss? I think Shadow of the Erdtree is not what you could complain about there. I feel like Shadow of the Erdtree really, and I've already said this, does a good job at balancing that where's the boss? But also everything is beautiful here and I'm looking around at all the bears. But I think at the end of the day, the main draw to Souls games for me, and this is the thing about Souls games that have ruined other video games for me, is that you can do anything. You can play it however you want to play it. And it also throws you right into the action. There's no like, I have to watch a cutscene or I have to be told why I think this character is important. You pretty much decide whether something is important to you or not, and you do it your own way. So if you want to run past everything, I think that's okay. I'm not going to get mad at someone for running past the little enemies to get to a boss, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. Are you missing out on some things? Certainly. But at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. And Souls games are about what you want to do.
So let's just break this thing, I guess. These are the great argument shards, and to wield the full might of a gamer's opinion, we must consume them!
What people disliked about Shadow of the Erdtree is that it hard codes some optional mechanics of the base game, exploring to level up, jumping to dodge certain moves. I feel like one of the core principles of Elden Ring is, if you feel like the game is too hard, just go do something else. Or if you don't like what's happening on your screen, go do something else. They try to teach you that with Tree Sentinel, but the majority of the people that play these games are just so impossibly stubborn, and this includes me, that lesson didn't really stick. That was not really a good first lesson learned.
Now, as any Dark Blood Sekiro Ring Souls player will tell you, Elden Ring is FromSoft's easiest game by, like, magnitudes. Almost every
I like that he used the blood of Bloodborne. Like, why are we doing Soulsborne? We could be doing Soul's Blood.
build is viable and has room for cheese. Summons and horse combat can belittle enemy encounters. The open world really invites you to overlevel and over-equip. Crafting allows you to always have that specific status effect you need, and there are checkpoints everywhere, including special ones at boss doors.
Ah, kids these days would never survive a Dark Souls run back.
God.
Or the fucking Dark Souls 2 Death Door. Fuck this thing. Jesus Christ. However, the initial hours of Elden Ring can be quite
Yeah, I thought about the run back to Sur Alon the other day, and I was like, oh.
challenging, particularly if you're new to Souls games. And I think a lot of people forgot that. Towards the middle to late
I forgot that. I literally forgot. I forgot about the Dark Souls 2 run backs.
game, things can get comically easy, especially if you're running a level 200 Tarnish turned Elden Lord. Players returning after a break might find a sudden shift from effortlessly
Level
defeating
200?
enemies.
Is there a cap to levels in Elden Ring? Or no? The Lud and Zolin run back. Oh my god. You can get level 99 in all stats. Mamma mia. You can get to level 99 in every Souls game. Look under the hood and it's all RuneScape. Always was. Has anyone ever done that? Level 700 versus every enemy in Elden Ring. The one-shot express.
And tanking multiple hits to struggling for survival quite jarring. This can feel like an unnecessary spike in difficulty, especially if you're unaware that the DLC significantly scales down the character's overall power level. Which brings me to my next shard. So it doesn't matter if your character was level 713 and killed every god under the piss tree. In the Land of Shadow,
He's a little fucking bitch.
the DLC crunches your level down to prevent players from easily overpowering the content. This approach actually enhances the experience because the satisfaction for most players comes from the challenge of defeating a boss after multiple attempts. I don't
Truth.
think anyone would like a $40 DLC from FromSoft filled with bosses that your late game build would just nuke in one hit. So what? Is my character just screwed now? Can I offer you a nice pine cone in this trying time? Scadutree fragments are the way you counteract this nerfing effect. The more you get, the stronger you are here. It's that simple. You'll find them everywhere in dungeons, caves, fields, and even the stomachs of giant hippos. So the idea is that the more you organically explore, the stronger you'll organically get. Ow! Elden Ring, from base to DLC, gives you every resource and playstyle to make the game as hard or as easy as you want, but you have to learn them and use them. Call it a byproduct from complacency in the gameplay, or choice paralysis from how many options Elden Ring truly gives you, but I really think that most players here, especially the ones complaining about difficulty, aren't using every tool at their disposal. Listen, I play like a brain-dead, unoptimized moron, and for a while I barely understood the idea of level soft caps and hard caps, faith buffs, crit daggers, elemental weaknesses. What the fuck do you mean I gotta eat this dude's meat?
Pause. You don't have to eat that guy's meat, by the way. Okay, so here's what I was gonna say. I think Elden Ring is like Lies of P, though, in that no player is actually going to use all of the tools available to them the first time. Especially if you're not looking things up and you're not trying to optimize. The average player, and not like the more optimized or more experienced player, is not going to use all the tools available. But I feel like not using all the tools is not a bad thing. I feel like having things that you didn't use that you could use another time on another run is fine. And it gives variability.
Oh, you must be hungry. Am I? And other than the final bastard, I killed nearly every single boss in 1 to 5 tries by just swinging a fucking big-ass stick until the scary thing got turned into dust particles. And I did it all before any balance changes. So if my barely functioning bonk brain can do it, so can anyone else. I watched a buddy use like 8 buffs and consume a pile of God knows what, and beat the final boss without moving or taking damage, decimating him with every hit and healing to full health infinitely. It genuinely felt like I was watching an exploit, but it wasn't an exploit. He was just using every tool within reach. Elden Ring's combat is 50% get good and 50% puzzle. What works, what doesn't work, try new summons, respec, craft greases, swap talismans.
This is what Millennia taught me, because for the most part during Elden Ring, all you need to do is try the boss over and over. If trying the boss becomes not fun anymore, go somewhere else. But then Melania, when I got to her, there was nothing else that I could be doing. I literally went and killed the secret dragon god. I went and killed Moog. I went and killed everyone. But all I had left was Melania, and that is the point where I truly figured out Elden Ring, because then I had to think about, okay, if I craft these boluses, if I equip this talisman, if I try this build with this Ash of War, with this armor set, maybe it works. And then I would just keep doing that over and over and over, and then I would kind of like, with a combination of trial and error, actually fighting the boss, and trying to figure out what equipment made it easier, then I got there. The presence of tools can make that confusing and maybe frustrating for people who don't want to trial and error, try to optimize things, but I don't think that matters at the end of the day. at the end of the day, I think you get just as far not optimizing, because sometimes I felt like I was wasting my time trying to optimize and trying to figure out what armor sets was good versus I really should just be learning. For the most part, I think the 80-20 rule applies to Elden Ring, where it's like 20% of the X, 80% of the X accounts for 20% of the Y. I think like 80% of the players are using 20% of the tools, but it's fine. It's fine. It's supposed to be like that. The only person using 100% of the tools is freaking Ongball, and he's perfectly parrying the poop that comes out of the cursed chimpanzee's butthole.
Throw a goddamn pot of molten glunch at their goddamn face. If they're
You can do
spamming
that?
a move that always kills you, you're spamming a mistake. For God's sakes, I've seen people beat these bosses on a dance pad. A fucking goldfish has beat some of these freaks.
A goldfish?
You are less than a fish in a tank?
I am less than a fish in a tank sometimes.
The DLC has about 50 hours of content if you frolic around everywhere and poke every ghoul with a ghoul poker. Stop it! But it seems like a lot of people don't want to play like this, they want to play like this, and that's totally valid, but it's going to be objectively harder, so don't be shocked when the open world game crushes your bones for playing it like a more linear experience. If you rush the DLC, the bosses are going to be the ones rushing your ass down to the fog wall.
Oh, poor bastard just walked in with a level 3 skull.
Marcus tits.
Help! So, with all the fragments in our inventory, what's my final opinion on this debacle, and is there a solution that would please everyone? For starters,
Probably
I really
not.
think the DLC isn't hard, and I'm not posturing to some Elden Ring stan Miyazaki shrine. I'm saying from a technical level, and from what I've been able to achieve as a B-tier Souls player, it really isn't hard if you just explore a little and use every tool you got. Now, could the Skadoo system be explained more thoroughly? Yeah. Should they have made a bunch of redundant scud fragments so you didn't have to comb through everything? Probably. And are the fragments a bad system?
Am I crazy? I don't think I explored that good, number one. And number two, I never had a problem finding Scadu fragments. Like, there's the one pot where you can find 1 billion. But I guess you do find that after doing the super secret thing that gets you Commander Gaius. I don't have an issue with the Scadu fragments. Am I crazy? I didn't have an issue finding them. I do agree here, though, that their importance probably was a little bit understated. But at the same time, it's a Souls game. You know what I mean? The communication level in a Souls game, not great. I do think, though, that having played Sekiro helped me. Because when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's just prayer beads. But also, I think you could get the general importance of Scadutree fragments by the fact that they get a whole stat line, like on your player sheet. They get a whole separate, like, bright yellow stat line. So, I don't know.
And more thoroughly? Yeah. Should they have made a bunch of redundant scud fragments so you didn't have to comb through everything? Probably. And
Ooh, or like golden seeds. Actually, you know what? Because golden seeds in Sacred Tier, you have to collect to level up your flask. So if you've played all of Elden Ring base game, which you presumably have, to play the DLC, then you should know that you should be looking for stuff.
are the fragments a bad system? Absolutely not. The two routes I see this near sequel-sized DLC could have gone down are make it too easy, not add any sort of power negation, and have late-game characters walk through every encounter in 5 hours, or whack every character with a shrinkening hammer so that the experience can be tailored specifically to the developer's preferences, allowing for a more customized and curated environment.
Which way, Mias?
I do think some of the bosses in Shadow of the Erdtree should have had more health. I think some of the bosses were a little squishy. Shadow of the Erdtree has ruined my expectations for other game DLCs. FromSoft just does a good DLC. They do it so good. I kind of wish they would do like another for Elden Ring. Or I wish they would do a Tears of the Kingdom for Elden Ring, where it's like they started doing a DLC, but they basically just made kind of a sequel, but with better writing than Tears of the Kingdom. Secret Stone? Demon King. Ooh, Land of Reeds DLC. That'll be so fire.
The ghoul cave or the poison swamp? No, stop. Why are you so excited? Stop. Obviously, they went with the latter.
He does love ghoul caves and poison
I
swamps.
think it was the right decision, and let's be honest, Elden Ring is FromSoft's first game that kinda left their core audience, and historically their main vocal fans have been those who relish extreme challenges. But when a game sells 25 million copies, shit can get weird and really fucking loud. Miyazaki, in a recent interview with The Guardian stated, quote, "In preparation for Shadow of the Erdtree, I played through the main story of Elden Ring, and I wanted to preface this by saying I absolutely suck at video games, so my approach or playstyle was to use everything I have at my disposal, all the assistance, every scrap of aid that the game offers, and also all the knowledge that I have as the architect of the game. The freedom and open world nature of Elden Ring perhaps lowered the barrier to entry, and I might be the one who's benefiting the most from that as a player more than anyone else."
I do think Elden Ring far and away is the most accessible Souls game. By far, the most accessible. The amount of tools you have in Elden Ring and everything you have available to you and the way the world is presented in a way in which you would want to explore just makes it so much more accessible than everything else.
So collect the fucking pine cones, eat the fucking lunch, kill the fucking bosses! To be fresh is to be unpopular. To be exciting is to be unconventional. To be bold is to be risky, and to be creative is to be misunderstood. A game for everyone is a game for no one.
Real shit.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I got him! That wasn't so bad! People gotta stop bitching and just... Oh, I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
Yeah, I feel like that's a good assessment. Like, the moment that From Software starts trying to make the game appeal to everyone is the moment that you lose the Souls series magic. They are what they are because of what they are, and you should just play them however you want to play them. That's all there is to it. And if anyone tells you you're playing it wrong, they don't understand. They're not about this shit. They're LARPing, because Souls games at their core are just do whatever you can do to survive the horrors that Miyazaki has created. And also, aren't those some good looking feet? Also, I didn't have any problem with the Scadutree fragments. I didn't have trouble finding them. But I definitely do concede that it helped that I knew about prayer beads. Because like he said in the video, the only options are either to make everything normal and then the player comes in overpowered, or find a way to moderately nerf the player. The DLCs are supposed to be the epitome of what the game can be. Bloodborne DLC is Bloodborne at its absolute wildest. Dark Souls 1 DLC is Dark Souls 1 at its absolute wildest, etc., etc. They have the right to go buck wild in the DLC, because if they didn't go buck wild in the DLCs wouldn't be as good as they are. So is Jagged at its peak. So true. Wait, but I also kind of like, to your point, honestly, it made me feel like a fresh base game save while running around with in-game gear. Yeah, you know what? You're right about that shit. Because when you step into the DLC, it does just kind of feel like you've stepped into Elden Ring 2. So I kind of like that you're sort of starting over in a way. Also, it's not a pain to collect them. It's just not.